Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Hi, guys. So I basically just lack boundaries and the ability to keep my boundaries, and that's got my marriage to a place where my husband's a bit spoiled, and I can't get him unspoiled.
So we
I love the self-awareness and honesty here.
yeah, it's like I can't drive and my car's in a ditch. All right, so what do you struggle with boundaries? What kind of boundaries do you struggle with?
I would say probably the most major thing is I am a huge people pleaser, and I don't like to, I guess, annoy people or bother them. So instead of doing that, I kind of just take everything on myself.
Who told you? Who told you? Either explicitly or implicitly. Who told you that you're a burden? Somewhere along the way, you picked up the message that the world would be better if you just stayed in the shadows. Who told you that?
I would say it would partly be maybe like a lack of self-confidence mixed with bad previous abusive relationships.
Okay. But that lack of self-confidence comes from someone, something. You don't just wake up with a lack of self-confidence. That's something that's earned over time.
That's true, and I guess I couldn't necessarily pinpoint. I don't recall ever not being like this.
Did you grow up in a house where an adult said, "Hey, if you do that, your dad's going to get really," or "Hey, mom gets mad if you..." Is that the house you grew up in?
No, my household, it was kind of, I guess, maybe easy for my parents. Like my mom handled me and my dad handled my brother. It's just us two. So I didn't really get any maybe discipline from my dad. So I just...
What did you get from your dad?
I guess that's maybe okay, so now I am thinking about it a little harder. My parents have always kind of denied it, but I've always, and other family members and things like that, have always kind of felt like my brother was maybe favored a little bit more. At least that's always been my thoughts on it. So I felt like he was getting things that I was being told I couldn't have, and things like that. So I guess maybe that could be where it stemmed from, is like, why is he getting it and I'm not?
Well, but take a step deeper. That's a way to intellectualize it, but imagine yourself as a 7-year-old little girl when you're just basically a walking nervous system. And you aren't asking yourself, why is he getting what I'm not? Like you can ask that question, but the underneath it is, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why doesn't dad like me too?
Yeah, and I don't think it's that he didn't like me. I think it was maybe just easier. I know.
And seven-year-olds don't tell the truth. I mean, they're not factual creatures, but they're just full feeling creatures, right? And so all I have to say is, here's where that's important right now. Nothing I tell you, nothing George tells you is going to matter if you don't think you're worth even the conversation.
Yeah.
If you think you're a burden to tell your husband, I'm not doing this, or we don't have the money for, or I need your help around here with the kids. If you don't think you're worth that conversation, or somehow his time or his precious little feelings are more important, more valuable than yours, then it doesn't matter what tips or hacks we give you.
Every time someone steps over that boundary line, the story you're telling yourself is, well, of course, I'm not worth someone respecting a boundary.
Yeah. I shouldn't have put that boundary up.
That's on me. You've taken this on yourself.
So tell me something. What you say your husband's spoiled. How's he spoiled?
It's mostly just the chores around the house. I guess we don't actually have kids, but we both work full time. So I feel like chores should be split pretty evenly.
Correct. You're correct.
At the beginning of our relationship, I would say they were. He fell into a depression with his last job, and that, I think, is where the bulk of it came from. Is I was obviously there for him through that. We've gone through that, but during that time, I just ended up taking over everything, and it's never gotten back to the 50-50.
Well, I think 50-50 if you try to keep score, that's a recipe for you crashing and burning. I wouldn't do that. But I would seek equity. I would seek, we pull equal weight around here. And what 50-50 means is you do the dishes, I do this. You do this, I do this. And then somebody gets the flu and dishes pile up. Or somebody has a really wild, like my wife has a editorial deadline for her book. I don't do the dishes. I do my half. She does her half. Like that destroys relationships. But if there is a sense of whoever walks by the dishes picks up the dishes. Both of us help with kids' bedtimes. Both of us help with laundry. And it does help sometimes to divvy up, like, hey, I'll take care of the laundry. I need you to push. My wife hits send on all of our bills, right? Like, we talk about our budget and stuff, but she's the one who actually writes the check or hits send on whatever internet-y thing they have. I don't know how those things get paid, but but you see, but it starts with a conversation, and it starts with the deeper layer here is we do this together. And so here's a beautiful moment. You're coming up on a new year. This is a great time to do it. I would love to see you take him out to breakfast and say, hey, the last year was hard, and I'm proud of you for the steps you've made. I want us to have the conversation about what kind of marriage we're going to have this year. And I want to talk about what you need and what you want. I'm going to talk about what I need and what I want. And then we're going to talk about how we can love each other in 2025. We get to build a new marriage this year.
Yeah, I love that.
And if you come at him and say, you haven't been doing your stuff, the moment you say the word you, his body's going to, you start a fight.
Game over.
He's got to defend himself. But if you sit down and say, I've been taking on the lion's share of the stuff while you got well, and I'm so grateful that I was able to help you and walk alongside you in this way, that's great. I want to back off on doing everything around the house. And I want us to begin, right? So you're using the word I, which is an invitation word. And man, you get to decide, you get to lay it out there. I would suggest that you come with a picture in your mind that you can tell him pretty clearly. Because usually these conversations with the people pleasers start with, I just want you to pick up some more slack. And you have a picture in your head of what more slack is. And he gets a picture in his head of what more slack is. And those pictures do not match. So let's be specific. Let's be very specific. And find a moment where you can be grateful for the things that he does do. And these conversations always help with a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of curiosity, not judging, I can't believe it. It's just about invitation. And then if he says, I'm not doing any of that stuff, now you have to deal with the actual gaps in your marriage, right? Hopefully he hears you and says, I'm all in. I can't wait to build something new in 2025.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.